And welcome everyone. We should be live from Deptford in London. It is nearly 7 p.m. UK time. I'm just gonna give it a minute until I can see that you guys are indeed in the chat. And I can see you. Hello again, Nikki, Ronnie, Mitzi, Tish, everyone. Let me know that you can hear me properly. If any of you was completely new to me, I'm Natalie. And if any of you are watching the replay, in the next few days or weeks, if you want to go straight into the walking tour, feel free to skip the next 10 minutes. We still have 10 minutes before it's officially time to start. I'm Matthew, nice to see you here. And Mitzi as well, always nice to see you guys. And Sandy. You hear me good, perfect. You guys know the drill already, but I'm gonna have to test the microphone. I'm gonna tap it 3 times. You tell me if you've heard it. You should have heard a triple tap, because sometimes there can be some dust in the connections or anything. Let me know if you've heard a triple tap. And if at any point through the tour you start hearing some grisling noises or wind or anything, let me know. Hi Satyam, nice to see you here as well. And Caroline. And Lee, welcome everyone. We've got about 8 minutes to go, I think. We're just waiting for everyone to connect. So once again, if any of you were watching the replay, if you want to go straight into the live, feel free to, into the live walk, I should say, because technically we're already live. Feel free to skip the next 8 minutes. And Catherine is here. Welcome, Catherine. Welcome to Deptford. We are by the river, as you can probably see behind me, on the south bank of the River Thames. Not too far from me, I live 20 minutes away on that side. And welcome Cynthia as well, nice to see you here. And welcome Emily and Carol, always nice to see you. And Laurie is here as well. Welcome, Laurie. So we've got a few minutes to go, and then we'll go for a live walk in the area of Deptford. A very important naval and shipbuilding area, historically. Now it's quite an up-and-coming, like hipsterish area. Very quite good for street art, you'll see in a moment. It's also one of the most ethnically diverse areas in London. You've got some people from everywhere in Deptford. And Wendy is here. Nice to see you, Wendy. Let me give you a glimpse of the view already, in case you were getting bored of my face. I'll explain who that is in a second. So we are right by the Deptford Creek. You can see a bit of Greenwich in the distance. And up the other side it is, well, Wapping really. And welcome Natalie and everyone that just joined. We still have a few minutes before to go. Let me check how many minutes. 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes. See the cannon there, it's got a little figurehead, like a boat really. And Natasha is here. Welcome Natasha. Right, we still have about 4 minutes to go. If any of you were completely new to me, of course, do say hello in the chat. It's always great to see some new people. And if you were new, make sure you subscribe. Those live walks, they're quite easy to miss. So if you do enjoy going for a live historical walk or true crime walk in London and beyond, make sure you subscribe to see the lives next time. And just a few minutes to go now. Let's see how long actually. 3 minutes. 3 minutes before it is 7 p.m. It is starting to get dark a bit sooner now. I think the sunset is about 8:30 at the moment, or maybe 8:45. So soon the days are going to be much shorter again. And Linda is back. Welcome, Linda. Nice to see you here. We've got about 2 minutes before we officially kick off. Yes, we did the triple tap with the mic yet. I hope you've heard it. Maybe one day I should change and do a quadruple tap. Or maybe just a double, who knows? Surprising. Right, let's see. 2 minutes to go, 2 minutes. You've missed the tap. Don't worry, it's not the most exciting moment. Oh my God, Laurie, don't get me started about Prince Harry coming back. Oh, thank you, Rachel. That's very much appreciated. He's, you know what? According to Lady Colin Campbell, he was potentially about to get arrested in the US. He had to come back. Apparently, something happened with his visa on the 11th of August. So if you don't know, Prince Harry, when he moved to America, he should have done a visa form, like I did when I went as an exchange student, and they ask you if you've taken illegal drugs before. So you'd have to say no if you want to get in. And obviously, we don't know what he said in his form, but 2 years later, he's publishing a book, Spare, in which he detailed a lot of drug abuse when he was young. So there's an organization, the Heritage Foundation, I think it's called in America, that has actually started legal actions against the government, because they say either Prince Harry lied, in which case it's 5 years of prison in America when you lie on your visa entry form, or he never had to do a form, which is even worse, because obviously the United States, it's the land of equality, you know, as opposed to here with the dukes and the special people. And or maybe he did tell the truth, but he had special treatment, which is even worse. So in any case, the Heritage Foundation is not happy. And some believe that he was about to maybe be arrested. So that's why he had to run back to the UK quite quickly. Well, as far as we know, that could be why. And also there was a publicity stunt for Netflix. I don't blame them. Well done, Netflix. They told everyone in the press in the last few days that Meghan was actually coming because she might have a role in The Gentleman, which is not true. But Netflix probably made her believe she might have a role in The Gentleman to promote the series. Because now, I mean, I want to be watching The Gentleman now because I didn't even know about the show. So well done, Netflix. If that's what they did, if that's a publicity stunt, well done. Anyway, don't get me starting about Prince Harry because I could talk about it forever. What time is it now? It is officially time to go. Welcome everyone that just joined. Welcome Sam. Welcome everyone. And without further ado, let me flip the camera around and let's go. Now, I am by a very interesting statue, or couple of statues. It is actually a Russian Tsar, that is Peter the Great. It's an interesting one because it looks a bit like a caricature, like a cartoon style caricature, really. This is his court jester, a little person, as you can probably see, and see, he's full of little flies, like if he was not smelling very good or something. And he's got I think we've been trying to leave them alone. I don't think they actually want to be left alone. You know what? They keep briefing the newspapers with some information, some of it not always real. If they wanted to be left alone, they would have moved to a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. I think when you move to Montecito, you don't really want to be left alone. But anyway. Now, so a little boat there. Then here, this is actually a globe, but he's hiding the globe itself. Now, you might wonder why on earth do we have a Russian Tsar in Deptford? Well, there was actually a gift from Russia not that long ago, maybe 30 years ago, not even, about the year 2000, I think. He's got one of those old clay pipes. That's quite cool. And that was to celebrate the 300 years since the Tsar Peter the Great actually did come here. He wanted to study the shipyards we had here to improve the naval power of Russia. So he stayed around here in Deptford. And I'll show you the name of the artist in a moment, but first let's go and take a quick look at the Deptford Creek. So this is pretty much where oh yes, exactly, Linda, we've been trying to leave them alone, but now they're coming back for more drama, and it's gonna be terrible for William, because they're gonna be trying to steal his thunder all the time. And also, I mean, we're going off topic here, but I mean, Harry is gonna get some. He gets a lot of sympathy because he can talk about whatever he wants. He can behave however he wants. Did you listen to his last interview? It was a podcast when he was in the UK last month. I mean, if you have not, I recommend you do. It's very interesting. He's talking about farts. He's talking about farts on the motorway. I don't know about you, but I don't really want to hear about the farts of the son of the king. And he's also, at some point, the interview guy asks him, "Oh, what do people often get wrong about you?" And Harry says that I'm not ginger. And then the guy doing the interview is confused. He's like, "Do you mean that you're not ginger? Or that you are ginger?" And he says, "No, I'm not ginger. I'm sunset auburn." I mean, if Harry is not ginger, I don't know what ginger means. Anyway, let's move on, because I could be talking about the Sussexes for hours. Now, before we go much further, apparently Uncle Spencer gave him a house in space at Alfred, but he turned it down. He preferred to have a house in the Cotswold that he pays for. Now, no, absolutely not kidding, Tish. If you've not heard it, go and look it up. I don't remember what the interviewer is called, but yeah, it's a mad interview. I mean, but the thing is, you know, now Harry is gonna be here, he's gonna be able to do charity work anyway, even if he's not a working royal, because the charities are gonna want him anyway, and he's gonna be doing almost like a rival court to his brother. It's not fair. Anyway, let's move on. I swear this time I'm stopping talking about Harry. Now, down there it's Greenwich. The two masts, oh, it's very windy, so it's moving the gimbal. The two masts, that's the Cutty Sark. The little dome, it's actually the entrance to the Greenwich tunnel. I'd like to take you back to Greenwich one day. You might remember I did take you down there at the time of Hago, but the signal was not great. I probably should try again, maybe in September, because the signal might have improved. not right by the Cutty's Ark, because the Cutty's Ark itself, it's actually the metal covering the boat that's stopping the signal. But we should try to go there maybe in September. Oh, you saw the interview, Tish? Okay. Right, let's go down. We'll go down this lovely little residential block. And we'll take a little street or a little passage called Marlowe Passage, named after Christopher Marlowe, the playwright. Because on a spot, probably right here, we don't know the exact spot, but somewhere here on the Deptford Strand. When we say the Strand, remember it's actually German for beach, like the Strand in the West End. So somewhere in this area was some kind of a house. In some version of the story, they say it was a pub. It was not a pub. It was some private house, maybe some kind of a lodging house, where Marlowe came with 3 friends. He spent the day in that. Them did not come out alive. It is Christopher Marlowe. Marlowe, so we're in 1593 to be precise. So he came down to the house of a lady called Eleanor Bull, Nicholas Trusser, and another guy called Robert Pauls. Now, I say mate. Right, it should be better now. Right, it should be better now. Don't worry, I'm nothing more. The chat when it gets better. Is it buffering again now? Oh, I'm sorry. Hopefully, it's not gonna last for too long. Hopefully, it's not gonna last for too long. We've lost quite a few people, unfortunately. Right, let me know. Unfortunately. Right, let me know. I'm not gonna say anything interesting. I'm not gonna say anything interesting until you tell me that we are. Sometimes with the according to the system, it went down again. But so they were in a lodging house. They spent the full day drinking. Well, at the time they called. I don't know if you can hear anything. I see the numbers going down. So let me know, and I'll show you a little. So I'll start again. So they were in a lodging house somewhere here on this around this site. And you know what? Let's go out. When the signal is better, I'll tell you the story again, and I'll show you a little video, because I didn't know whether the cemetery was going to be open anyway. So I've shot a video of his grave. Oh, thanks for letting me know, Sam. That's often what happens when the signal is really bad. We've lost pretty much everyone now. Right. Is it still bad now? Oh, is it much better? We see that it is definitely much better. Okay, cool. So you know what we'll do is we'll stay outside where the signal is good, and then I'll show you a video of his grave anyway. Right. Hopefully it is gonna stay better. Now let me show you the entrance to the graveyard, because it's quite cool anyway. See the skulls. That's what we often refer to as memento mori. They're as a reminder that one day you'd be judged. One day you'll be you'll be judged, and you'll die as well. So that's a reminder of your own mortality, basically. But those are video of the end for a 4-bedroom in there. Let me show you the pictures. So we're looking for a monthly rent. 4 bedrooms inside of this beautiful building. How much do you think that might cost you? Monthly rent. Let's go on the other side of the street on everything, and then again I'll start again telling you about Marlowe, because there's no point if the story is gonna be cutting over and over again. Let's see if it gets any better on the other side. Signal can be so surprising, you know, because we've been here before 2 years ago, and I had no problems with signal whatsoever. It was brilliant, actually. You never know what you're gonna get with the signal. It can be very frustrating because you do a lot of research on everything, and then you're not able to tell people about your research. 3,800, Cynthia. 3,800 a month. But it's not bad. I mean, because you can have a flat share. They have two bathrooms, so it's less than 1,000 each, which is it's probably the average, you know, for a flat share nowadays. For 1 bedroom in a flat share, it's usually about 1,000 anyway. Now, is it better since we've crossed over the street and everything? Let me know if it's not buffering anymore. I'll tell you about Marlowe. Oh, you were 300 under. Not bad, Tish, not bad. By the way, down that way we're not gonna go because it's noisy, but that's where the Deptford poisoner lived. You know, we talked about the Deptford poisoner when we were in Brockley Cemetery. A lady that killed quite a few people. She was taking insurance on their heads. Okay, perfect, lovely. I love this lady's garden. Isn't it very cute? I mean, cute. Cute might not be the term, but very eccentric. It's a bit like, and we've got some furry friends as well down there. It looks like a bric-a-brac with a lot of items from everywhere. And even a traffic light, that's cool. Anyway, let's go down the little street down there, and if it's not buffering anymore, I'll tell you everything you need to know about Marlowe. And that was lucky that I did a video of the cemetery anyway. Not because I expected the signal to go, but because I expected the cemetery to be closed. Right, let's stop here. And let me tell you about Marlowe. So Marlowe was with his 3 friends into a lodging house. Again, in many versions of the stories, they say it's a pub. It wasn't a pub. It was some kind of a lodging house. They drank all day. Now, out of those 3 guys, well, at least one was a spy for sure, and some we believed to be spies. Now, they drank all day. They enjoyed themselves. In the evening, they're in a bedroom, the 3 of them. Marlowe is laying down on the bed, and the 3 others they're playing backgammon, and they're kind of having their back to Marlowe for some reason on a chair, which is quite an odd position. And at some point, the lady came with the reckoning, the bill. So that's why some people say it was a pub, because there's a bill, but it's not a pub. There's no witnesses apart from those 3 that survived. I mean, imagine today if you had 4 MI5 or MI6 agents that went to a bedroom, they played backgammon, and one of them did not come out alive. Surely you wouldn't think it was an accident or self-defense or anything. Anyway, officially, they had a fight about the bill. Marlowe became a bit aggressive. He grabbed his dagger, and Fraser, in self-defense, stabbed him just above the eye. The dagger went through the eye, and he died straight away. Now, at the time, if you were, so we are in 1593. At the time, if you were accused of murder, That was it, you were hanged, no question asked almost. But not if it was self-defense. Now, they would have been very sure of their excuse, because they didn't run away, did they? But again, there was no witnesses apart from the three. If the three agreed to eliminate him, that was it. So eventually it was admitted as self-defense, and Fraser was acquitted. Now, we can only speculate of what really happened, but before we do that, let me show you the video of the cemetery. So you should be able to hear me as we watch the video. If you don't, let me know. So that's the little, he was buried here simply because he died here. Luckily, some of his friends had time to come to the funerals. We'll go and find a little plaque on the other side. He was buried in an unmarked grave somewhere. We don't really know exactly where, so the plaque is actually fairly modern. Now, some people believe he never died. I mean, he would be dead now, but some people believe he actually faked his own death, and that he'd moved to maybe Italy or something. Some people believe that Marlowe was actually William Shakespeare's, because Shakespeare was not massively famous until Marlowe had died. And Shakespeare would write about exotic places like Italy. How did he know them so well? Could it be that Marlowe escaped, faking his own death? We don't know how. Did they kill somebody else? Personally, I don't buy in, because Marlowe, his plays are quite gay, and Shakespeare's not so much, or not obviously gay at least. So if Marlowe escaped and he was then writing anonymously, I don't know why he would suddenly be more controlled in terms of the gayness of his plays. So I don't buy it, but it is a possibility. Now, here is the plaque, and right above it, people have given him some, oh, thank you, Tish, some little gifts. You might remember last time we came, there were a lot of pens, like plastic pens. But this time they have a lot of little gifts, like a candle holder, and the coin, it's US dollars, I've checked. And little plum, of course, for writing, and a pen sharpener. And also a very suspicious little bag. Let's see what's inside. Ah, not coins. It's actually very difficult to do with one hand. Oh, it looks like a rubber duck. I can see the duck, but what's the red thing? Oh, little duck. I don't know why they've given Marlowe a duck. If you know of any duck stories in his play, let me know. Ooh, oopsie. Now that one I like. And before you ask, no, I did not take it. I don't steal from the dead. But as you might know, I like my post boxes. Now let's put everything back. And that's the end of the video. So that was Christopher Marlowe's grave. Now I'll just remove the video, and cool. So the possibilities, personally, I've got no doubt about the fact that it is definitely a murder. Well, I suppose we never know. They were young men. I think he was 20-something. Yeah, they could have got drunk and have a fight, but when you work in the spying network, it's quite unlikely. Or some say that he was secretly an atheist. They did allegedly find a text in his possession where he would have written that the Virgin Mary was a sex worker, and that Jesus was having an affair with John the Baptist. But we don't actually know if he was the one that wrote it. Why do people give him things to his grave? People do that with many famous people. They bring them little gifts. I did not bring him anything. I should have. Unacceptable. And the other possibility, that's quite a modern theory. Some historians now believe that it was actually that he had discovered that some people of the Privy Council, so government, the advisors of Queen Elizabeth I, including the Cecil. We talked about Robert and William Cecil when we talked about the Guy Fawkes conspiracy. So the spy master, he might have been an atheist. But at the time God was not an option at the time. So that would have been a big scandal if they'd found out that Cecil was indeed an atheist. So it might have been Robert Cecil that eliminated Marlowe to make sure his secret was kept. We'll probably never know. And Marlowe was definitely a suspicious character himself. He was probably, most definitely a spy. Let me flip the camera around. He had been caught in, at the time it was the time of plots with the Catholics and the Protestants, and the Netherlands were very much involved because at the time they were under Spanish control. He used to work as a translator as well, so he would go down there. He was actually caught counterfeiting money. He was not actually hanged. Was he protected by government? That's a possibility. So he was very probably a spy. Actors and people working in theater were often working with spies anyway, because they'd go across the country, they'd go abroad, so they could. Queen Elizabeth I needed some ears and everything everywhere, because everyone was trying to plot against her. Now, we are now on a cute little street called Albury Street. It is beautiful. It's all Georgian architecture. Well, I said Georgian. It was technically finished at the time of Queen Anne, but the style is very much Georgian. At the time, you had a lot of people working on the shipyard that would help with the carving of the door cases, for example. It might remind you a bit of Queen Anne's Gate in Westminster. We were down there recently when we talked about the time slips that they had down there. Sadly, part of the south part down there was actually damaged with, I think, with the war, but the north side is still perfectly preserved. It's actually rare to have a full street looking so Georgian and so well preserved. I love the door cases. So it looks a bit like a figurehead, like the front of a boat, but that's because it would have been the same people carving it, basically. Some of the ship captains lived around here. Some say that the Admiral Nelson also lived here. Oh, that's my friend. Hey, mate. Earlier, he did not want a cuddle, but he was jealous that I was cuddling another one. Do you want to cuddle now? Do you want to be a YouTube sensation, or do you care? Okay, cuddle. Let's see. Cuddle. Okay, bye. I'm gonna go and see if your friend is here. He's got a neighbor, a white cat. Let's see if he's here. He was here earlier. No, he's gone, I think. Anyway, so yeah, beautiful street. It is said that the Admiral Nelson lived here at some point, but there's absolutely no evidence of that. Some say that it was actually his mistress that lived down here. Who knows? I just love those door cases. And that brings us straight down to Deptford High Street. I cuddle weirdly. No, I don't think he wanted a full cuddle, that's why. Right, Deptford, it's... some people say it's the new Shoreditch, because it's very hipstery and a lot of street art nowadays. It's also very international. It's one of the most diverse area of London. I think it's actually the most diverse area, because you've got some, well, obviously you've got some British white people, you've got some Europeans, you've got some Caribbeans, you've got some Africans, you've got some Asians, some East Asians. I think it's only the Latinos, we don't see much of them around here. They're all around me, on Elephant and Castle, really. But yeah, it's very, very diverse. And it's still, I'm not going to say it's cheap, because nowhere in London is cheap, but to be honest, it's not bad, the prices. Well, as you saw earlier, you know, the 4-bedroom, it seems expensive, but it's not. To have a flat share, to have 1 bedroom in a flat share for less than 1,000, it's a good price in London. I know it sounds crazy when you're not, when you're from elsewhere, but for London, it's actually not bad at all. And although we're south of the river, we're not too far from you could, if you cycle from here, you can be at Tower Bridge in 20 minutes, and then you're basically in the city of London. And if you take the train, it's about the same, really. Now, let's go and see if the church garden is still open. I suspect it might be, because I think they have a Sunday service, a Sunday late afternoon service. If not, don't worry, I came prepared. I did a video earlier this afternoon just in case the garden was... No, perfect, it's still open. Whoop, whoop. We're very lucky today. None of those graveyards actually have any official timetable, so I didn't know what time they'll close. So let's go and take a look at the church as well as the graveyard. So this is St. Paul's of Deptford, and there's one grave, one little plaque. Oh, there's another little friend here. Let's see if he wants one of my nuts. Hey, mate! Hey! Oh no, he's gone. They're quite shy, the squirrels of Deptford. I wanted to give him I've got some acorns in my pockets always for my little squirrel friends, but hey ho. Now, the person buried here I wanted to show you, they're called My Didi. And they have an amazing story, a very sad story, really. Have you heard of the, I'm sure you have, because there've been 3 movies about it, of the mutiny of the Bounty? You know, Captain Bligh, that was basically, he went to Tahiti in the Pacific. What they wanted to do, it's a bit sad, but they wanted to find a cheap way to feed some of the enslaved people in the Caribbean. And they noticed that in the Pacific they had those fruits. It's called a breadfruit. Oh, you see the church is open, so that's why they have a service now, or an hour ago maybe. So the breadfruit, it's a very large, from the outside it looks like a bit like a durian, a bit like a jackfruit, but a bit smaller. If you are actually from the Pacific, I think that's what, I think we had it in New Caledonia. I think I would call it an uru, but in English it's a breadfruit. It's a fruit that you can use as, as a meat substitute in any recipe, really. It's a staple food. It's a bit like a potato, really, or like a yam. And so they wanted to get some of those breadfruit on board of a ship to bring them down to the Caribbean. But there was a mutiny on board, and you might know the story. Captain Bling was put with, I think, 18 men on a tiny little boat with no cover, nothing, and they survived. He managed to come back to the UK. And the mutanist, the punishment should have been hanged. And they escaped with some of the Tahitian girls to another island where they founded a mini colony. Anyway, so that story you might know because it's been in a few movies. Now, what you might not know is that Captain Bligh, he came back to Tahiti after that on a new ship, the HMS Providence, and he finally managed to get a lot of the breadfruit trees. And the king of Tahiti, I don't know if it's a king, the ruler, the monarch of Tahiti, agreed to send one of his favorite servants with the English captain to come and see what London was like, and to to come back eventually and tell the king what London looked like and how was society in London. Sadly, my Didi died. He was a victim, we believe. We don't know for sure what really killed him, but we believed he was a victim of early trials in vaccination. It wasn't really vaccination yet, but they were giving a little bit of smallpox to people, hoping that they wouldn't catch the disease. But those native communities. Let's see if he wants it. Hey, no, you've missed it. You coming? I've got more. Come. You coming? It's for you. Yeah. Bye. So yeah, my Didi was inoculated with a tiny little bit of the variola virus, and he died when he got to Deptford. So he's buried here somewhere. The plaque is actually fairly modern, but yeah, he's buried here somewhere in St. Paul's. So a very sad story, because of course he never went back to the King of Tahiti. Now let's go back on the high street. Yes, I love my squirrels. We have a lot of them in London, but they are Americans. Oh, there's another one here, and I can hear another one behind me. They have invaded us, those ones. We used to have the little red ones before, but those American squirrels have invaded. Do you want something? I've got something, hold on. You don't waste it, you have it, yeah? They didn't completely come on their own. We had a Duke in the 1880s, the Duke of Bedford. We've got 3 of them right here behind me. The Duke of Bedford, he believed it was a great idea to gift some of those American squirrels to his friends in London and across the country. So he actually helped the spread. We don't have any red ones here. I know they've reintroduced a few red ones in Yorkshire, and you've got some in Scotland, in Balmoral and stuff, but here we don't have any. We've got some down south on the Isle of Wight. A couple of years ago, there was one grey squirrel that managed to jump in a car going down to the Isle of Wight. It was a big drama in the news and everything. Eventually, they did manage to catch the grey squirrel, so he wouldn't have sex with the red ones on the island. But yeah, here in London, we don't have any red ones anymore. Now, here is Deptford High Street again. It's funny because we don't have a single proper pub on the high street. Because earlier I was like, oh, where am I going to pee before the tour? Because I like to pee somewhere before the tour. And I actually went into that one, which is it's a lovely place. It's a place to play games and everything. And co-working place as well, and cafe, quite hipsterish. But it's not like a good old pub when you can just walk in and no one cares if you go to the loo. Well, no one cared anyway, but you know what I mean? There's no more proper old pub. It's only kind of trendy bars and cafes. And let's go and see the marketplace. They have an antique market there. I think it might have been on today. I saw some people removing some market stalls. Might be on a Sunday. And that's also the place where you have some cool bars and it's really kind of a hipstery area. I can see why they say it's the new Shoreditch. Although I would argue that Peckham is also the new Shoreditch. So maybe Deptford is the new Peckham. Oh, maybe not. It might be even a bit cooler than Peckham now. Now this is the station here, and so Deptford train station. So that's overground, proper train. There's no underground down here, but they've got the train, so you can go down to London Bridge or Greenwich or whatever it might be. And the wall in front of us, that's actually the first train track in London. In the 1830s. I'll show you the little plaque on the other side. And I'm gonna try not to spend too much time down here because I can hear a bit of music in the background. And you know the drill with music, it could it could be quite bad with copyright. Although this is not too loud, I don't even know if you can hear it. Mostel Coffee, I didn't actually see the sign. That's a cool name. I don't know if we have many mice around here. Yesterday I saw a rat chasing a squirrel in Burgess Park. I never saw them playing together before, but they definitely did. Or maybe the rat had something, or the squirrel had something to eat and the rat wanted it, I don't know. Anyway, here is the plaque about the ramp. So, November 1835, you see. Right, let's go down to see some street art. So, obviously it's a bit late now, but earlier today you had a lot of people, you know, enjoying a coffee, enjoying a drink on a Sunday afternoon. And it is true that it's pretty much the same crowd, apart from the tourists. You don't have any tourists here, not really yet. But apart from that, it's the same type of crowds that you'd get in Shoreditch, that's true. Now that's a nice one. Mi futuro es tu ojos. My future is your eyes. It looks like if it was promoting a movie or anything, but no, I think it's just a very romantic piece of street art. I wonder who the wall belongs to. In this case, a full mural like this, the landlord is probably aware, you know, the person living there or at least owning the building. And this one here is amazing. This one represents the market, the antique market that happens here at the marketplace. The style is quite cool as well, with only a few colors. And you can see how they've integrated see those little electric cabinet or whatever they are. They've basically painted on the cabinets. And even the wall here is included. Oh, what did I say? Was it not S, Sarah? Well, anyway, whatever it meant, it was very romantic. So that's quite nice. Even the bin man is represented here. So that's lovely. Anyway, let's go back down to the high street. By the way, you might have seen my bicycle. It's not because the tour is finishing this time. It's just because that's my way home. So I'll come back this way to cycle home. Because part of the high street up there is one way, so I've got to go down the back streets. Now let me show you some more street art before I tell you about some local murders. This building is quite cool. Well, I like the part to the right with the two necks, you know, and the tie and the jewelry. I don't fully understand the part to the left, you know, the horizontal chimneys, but it looks cool anyway. And we've got some more beautiful murals down here. Heart and soul as yourself. Even the pharmacy is just quite cool colors. So you can see how it's become a bit of an arty, agey area of London. And at the end of the day, it's because it was affordable and still is to an extent. It's always the same story. When you have an area that's affordable, you have a lot of artists coming because they can afford to have a studio, whether it's for music or for art. And like it happened in Camden, but like 50 years ago, and like it happened later on in Shoreditch. So yeah, you have a lot of space that can be rented for affordable prices. So a lot of artists would come, and then eventually, because you have a lot of artists, the area becomes a bit trendy, and the prices go up, and then the artists have to move. So that's the system that keeps kind of being repeated everywhere. Now that's an interesting piece of street art. You might recognize that's King Henry VIII's tummy with his middle bit. He always had a thing to protect his private parts, you know, psychological warfare, you know, to look more impressive. Anyway, Henry VIII had a full English breakfast on this site. They've painted it in dark blue, so that's the same color as the English heritage plaques. Obviously, I don't know anything about a breakfast, but Henry VIII did come around here because he had his shipyards down here by the Deptford Creek. So he would have been around here at some point. And let's not forget, he had the Palace of Placentia in Greenwich. That was also a favorite of Queen Elizabeth I. By the way, talking about Queen Elizabeth I, it is here, well, allegedly, we don't know for sure, but it is here in Deptford somewhere that Walter Raleigh, when it was a bit wet and there were a few puddles of water on the floor, he famously laid down his coat on the floor so the Queen could step on the coat and not have a wet foot. So yeah, allegedly that was here in Deptford. Some people say it was in Greenwich Park, but apparently it was here. It's not far anyway. We're not far to Greenwich Park at all. And at the time, Greenwich Park would probably have been even more, it would have been nature everywhere really. Now some more beautiful facades down here. Now, let me tell you about a murder. Well, two murders, actually two double murders. The first one it's fairly recent. We're gonna go back to 2017. So, because it's so recent, I'd like to pay my respect to all the people involved, you know, and my condolences to the families as well, because obviously we are in Deptford, so they could end up in this video, and I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody. So if any of you watching this are connected to the story, you've got all my condolences. Anyway, the book is here, Paddy Power. It's actually interesting because that little building is connected to both of the story. To the story, the first one and the one I'll tell you in a moment. You can see it was not always a bookies, it was not always a betting shop. It used to be a pub. You can see the little plaque, the Deptford Arms, so that was a pub. And actually, if we go back to the beginning of the 20th century, it was called the Duke of Cambridge at the time of our second murder, but we are not there yet. For now, we're going to be talking about a gentleman that lived here. His name was Noel. Noel Brown. He was 69 years old, originally from Jamaica. Oh, by the way, this piece of street art, I think it's been done today. I didn't really see the artist, but when I came earlier, the little model was right next to. He had stuck the photo of the guy on the wall, so I can see it's very new. Oh, thank you, Linda. Thank you very much. All your donations are really much appreciated. It really helps the channel going, and it helps me take time to do some more research on everything. Anyway, back to Noel. He lived around here. I'll show you the building. He was a man of habits. Every morning he would come betting at the bookies right behind me. His neighbor Jen, she would come and knock at the door, usually about 10:30 in the morning, to pick him up, to come and go betting here at the bookies. That morning, in 2017, she knocked at the door, and Noel did not answer. That was quite unusual because they would always go. He did not bet much, but he liked the habit and he liked to go and chat to people at the bookies. And she was a bit surprised that she didn't hear from him. It's not like the type of guy that would have gone on a holiday without telling her. You see, he wasn't really going anywhere. And eventually Jane, the neighbor, she called Mary, the daughter. Oh no, it's the other way around. Mary, the daughter, called Jane because her dad, Noel, was not picking up the phone. And Jane was like, well, you know what? I find it very strange as well. I went to knock at the door this morning to go to the betting shop, and he did not open the door. And Mary, the daughter, she was a 41 years old nursery teacher. She lived in Peckham, so not far from here. She was like, you know what, tomorrow at my lunch break, I'll jump on the bus to go and see if he's all right. That's what she did. She told her daughter was a university student. She said, I'm going to go and see your granddad because he's not picking up his phone. And then Mary did not come back. So the granddaughter, the university student, she was like, I'm going to call the police. So the police turned up at the flat. And that was quite of a shock. They found not only one victim, but two. Noel's body was in the bathtub. The killer had clearly started to dismember the body. And Mary, she was still wearing her coat. She had been strangled. It does look like she might have, when she came in, she might have interrupted the killer. So quite a gruesome scene. The police looked into Mary. There was absolutely no reason why anyone would have anything against her. She was a very popular young lady. She was caring for kids in a nursery. Even when she came here to see her dad, she was killed because she was caring for her dad. Now, I don't know if it's this one or the next one. There are three. It's one of those. I'm not going to hang around here too long because I don't want the neighbors to... because, it's a council flat. Someone would have moved in, I'm sure they would know about what happened in the flat because the neighbors would have told them. But, you probably don't want any YouTubers to come down at your windows and remind you what happened in your apartment. Now, Mary, there was absolutely no reason why anyone would have any motive to kill her. She was really a very popular lady in Peckham. She worked in Nunhead in a nursery school and everyone loved her. Noel, well, his neighbors here did not know, but he was actually out of prison. He had been released, but 16 years before, he had been jailed because of sexual assault on young girls. But, he had paid his debt to society, and that was years and years before. Now, he was actually writing a book about his life. Was it linked? That maybe someone didn't want any information to come out? We don't know. The police didn't have much to go on. They looked at all the CCTV, but typical, the CCTV that looked, the camera that looked right in front of Noel's door, the main entrance to the 4 different apartments, that one was the only local CCTV that was not working. But studying the other CCTVs in the area, like this one up here, see, we've got 2 here, they found one guy on a bicycle and one guy, the back of his, let me show you the footage. So that's the back of the guy. At the time, they didn't even know for sure that was the same guy. That's all they had to go with. But there was a bit of DNA. Mary, she'd been fighting her aggressor. She probably had a bit of DNA under her nail. Anyway, so they had the killer's DNA, or at least the suspected killer's DNA, but it was not registered anywhere in the system. It had been involved in a burglary in West London, but the guy was never caught. And the police was not going to let it go. So they decided to do a technique. I think it's called mitochondrial DNA. So it's a technique when you analyze the DNA of the person and you look for anyone that had their DNA taken that would have been a partial match. So someone that could be a mother, a cousin. At first they found a lady in Birmingham, and that seemed to be a good lead because her dad was from this area in Deptford. But eventually there was no link. And then they found a Mr. Henry that also seemed to have some familial DNA with the killer. They called Mr. Henry, and Henry said, "Oh, is it about my son?" And yes, it was. His son, Nathanael Henry, was 37. He worked in Peckham at the Damilula Taylor Center. Damilula Taylor, that might ring a bell. That's a horrible murder we also mentioned once when we went to Burgess Park. It's a little boy that was killed in Peckham, and now there's a sports center named after him. Anyway, he worked as a basketball coach at the sports center, and everyone loved him. The kids loved him, the parents loved him. No one could. And the thing is, Mr. Henry, so the daddy, he said, well, if you're calling about my son, he's just been found dead. Because he had gone missing, Nathaniel Henry. He had texted a friend saying, I'm not feeling myself, I'm gonna go missing this week. And they found him, bless him, he put himself in a cupboard. You know those kind of electricity cabinets you have at the bottom on the ground floor of the council estates? He managed to fit himself in the cabinet with a blanket and food and some pills. So he had clearly unalived himself. To this day, we don't know why. He was clearly the murderer, and it's easy to imagine that he would have something against Noel, and that when Mary came to check on her dad, she interrupted him, and that's when he killed her as well. He suffered from depression, but he was so popular that people had already started a crowdfunding to pay for his funeral. And then suddenly they had the news that he was a double killer. We still don't know. Did he maybe witness any type of abuse from Noel? Obviously, it's difficult to have any sympathy for Noel because of his crimes of the past. But at the end of the day, at the time of the murders, he was just an old man living locally and as far as we know, behaving himself, you know. Anyway, so that's a very sad story, and the family would never get closure now because the killer took his own life. Now, I told you that this building was linked to another murder as well. Yes, when it was a pub in 1905, two young men were seen drinking in there at about, three of them, but two of them were linked to the murder. They were seen drinking in there at about 6 a.m. Nowadays, you don't go to the pub at 6 a.m., but at the time they had very different licenses on timing the pubs. Nowadays, they have to close at 11 usually, and they don't open until, 11 or 12. But back in the day, it was a bit different. So, for our next murder, we're going back to 1901. The building across the street there, at the time, was a shop that was selling paint, building paint. They would open quite early in the morning because people would often buy the paint on the paint on their way to work. It belonged to a Mr. Chapman, but the guy running the shop was Mr. Farlow, and he had a young man working for him. The young man turned up at 8:30 a.m. Mr. Farlow was not there, the shop was closed. That was so unusual. Mr. Farlow was always there. So the young man became a bit worried. He actually ran to the other shop to get the keys from the landlord. And when they opened then, if it was better here. Yeah, that was a sad case of robbery. That was a robbery that gone wrong, really. It would have been a sadly usual murder if it wasn't for a little detail. I probably would have never told you that story because sadly there's nothing that unusual. But the police officer, PC Alkinson, he looked at the safe box that had been broken into, that stolen some money, and he saw something he'd recognized. It was a very new technique. He spotted what he believed to be a fingerprint. Now, that was the first time, that was the first time ever that the fingerprint technique was used to convict anyone of murder. It was a very new technique, and the police very quickly had some suspects. Alfred and Albert Stratham, they were two nasty boys from the area, brothers. People had seen them at the pub just an hour earlier. There's a milkman as well that spotted them running down the street. They described their items of clothing and stuff, so they were suspect quite early on. But That was about it. The police did not have much. They went to see the girlfriend of one of them, and the girlfriend at first gave him an alibi. And then when they told the girlfriend how much he had stolen, she was like, "Hold on, I've been cheated here." She didn't. The money was not shared with her, so she was like, "Okay, you know what? I'll tell you the truth. His brother came and picked him up. He was gone early morning. He came back with some blood on his shoes, and he's painted his shoes in black to cover them up." So she kind of snitched on him, and but that wasn't enough really, because that's only one witness. But the police used the fingerprints, and the trial was very interesting because at the time the technique was so new that it was almost like the trial of the technique, you know. One of the experts actually contacted both the defendant and both parties to see who would pay more, you know, and eventually they were convicted. Alfred and Albert, they were hanged at Wandrose prison. So that was the very first case that was convicted thanks to fingerprints. So that's in terms of forensics, that's a very important location. Of course, nowadays we've got so much forensics in general, you know. You've got the DNA, but you've got the prints, you even have the palm prints. You can find traces of DNA in any tiny little, if someone's entered a car, you can find it. But back in the day, you know, there was nothing. In late Victorian times, even to recognize the prisoners that were already guilty of murder, or murder they wouldn't be released, but guilty of burglary or anything, if they were released from prison, you wouldn't even know how to find them again, because all they had to come as a technique to recognize people was what they called bertillonnage. So they would basically, Bertillon was a French guy that had developed a technique where they would take 11 measurements of your body. And if those 11 measurements were the same, you know, like the size of your forearm, the size of your toe, the size of this and that, then you'd be the same person. So can you imagine? They had not much before to have the fingerprints. So that was such a revolutionary technique. Much harder to use at the time because you'd have to do it manually. Of course, nowadays it's all digitalized and they all put down in a system, and AI can do it very quickly for you. At the time, that would have taken a while. Anyway, that's gonna be the end of the tour. Let me know in the chat if you have any questions for me. Thank you for coming today. It's always a pleasure to have so many of you on board. And if you want to see a bit more of me, next Monday, so Bank Holiday Monday, we're going to the area of Charing Cross and the Strand. So that's next Monday. Thanks, Tish. Glad you enjoyed it. If any of you drop me a little tip on PayPal or buy me a coffee or anything, that's very much appreciated as well. I don't see them live, of course, but I'll see them when I open my emails. And thank you, Pauline. That's greatly appreciated. If any of you were completely new to me, I hope you would subscribe to make sure you don't miss the next one. Thank you, that way. And come back next Monday. And I've got quite a few exciting locations coming up in September as well. I'll be scheduling them about a week ahead because for some reason I think it's better with the algorithms to not schedule too far ahead, which is ridiculous. You'd think it should be the other way around, but for some reason it's not. So thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Maureen, and I hope I'll see you next Monday. If not, keep checking the channel. There'll be much more to come. Thanks, Satyam. Thanks, Cynthia. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening or a great morning, whatever time it is for you, wherever you are in the world. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.